Hello and welcome to your Newsmax Daily for Tuesday, October 14th, 2025, the 287th day of the year with 78 to go. It's the 23rd day of fall and National Dessert Day. So there you go. Now you have an excuse to indulge in your favorite dessert. In the headlines, President Trump returned to the White House close to 3 o'clock this morning local time, which means the White House press pool will be very tired for this afternoon's Medal of Freedom ceremony for Charlie Kirk. Likely the reason President Trump rushed back to Washington. He'll also be meeting with Javier Milei, the president of Argentina, at the White House today. I mentioned this yesterday, but really think about it, right? I mean, who goes from the United States to Israel to Egypt, gives speeches in both countries, and then comes back to the U.S. without staying overnight somewhere? I mean, it's an 11-hour flight from Cairo to Washington, so you would assume he at least took a nap on Air Force One at some point, but he also spent time talking to the press corps on Air Force One.
A lot of people like the one-state solution. Some people like the two-state solutions. We'll have to see. I haven't commented on that. I'm not talking about single-state or double-state or two-state. We're talking about the rebuilding of Gaza.
After everything that happened yesterday, he was asked about ICE in Chicago, because that's what the lamestream media wanted to talk about yesterday.
I think he should beg for help because he's running a bad operation. I mean, he's letting people be killed in his city. He
being Illinois Governor Pritzker. Let's start it off with Finnerty.
Donald Trump today rewriting what it means to be an American president. Because for decades, America has been led by people who have all conducted business the exact same way. Think about Joe Biden. Think about Barack Obama. Not Donald Trump. Teddy Roosevelt, John F. Kennedy, Ronald Reagan, and now Donald Trump. Leaders that did not do it the way it has always been done before. After Butler, Pennsylvania, after Donald Trump was almost killed by an assassin's bullet, the president said this.
I believe that my life was saved that day in Butler for a very good reason. I was saved by God to make America great again. I believe that.
We think Donald Trump was saved to do a lot more than just that. He was saved to do things like he did today. 738 days in captivity, and the hostages are free, and the two sides have put down their weapons. When the president addressed the Knesset this morning, he spoke not of war, but of peace.
And after so many years of unceasing war and endless danger, today the skies are calm, the guns are silent, the sirens are still, and the sun rises on a holy land that is finally at peace, a land and a region that will live, God willing, in peace for all eternity.
The Knesset is the parliament and legislative body of Israel. That was before going to Egypt for the signing of the peace agreement that involved multiple countries. More from Rob Schmitt.
A reminder today of what is possible in a world that is not led by career politicians. The hostages are home. The war between Israel and Hamas is over. What happened today is something that would have never happened had we another president, especially Joe Biden or Kamala Harris, in the White House. Tonight we have Arabs inside Gaza and Jews inside Israel, both cheering for the same American president. Think of how hard that is to achieve. Groups of people who absolutely loathe each other are cheering for the same foreign leader. It is a spectacular political accomplishment, but more importantly, 20 people who have somehow survived in hell for the past 2 years are free and are back home tonight. Rick Grenell is the presidential envoy for special missions and joins us tonight. Rick, good to see you. You're a diplomat. You know this game. How impressive is this accomplishment in your world?
Well, first of all, let me give you a little perspective. Just out of college, I started working in political jobs. 1992 is when I started. I went to the UN in 2001. I spent 8 years at the UN. This is an issue that we have talked about nonstop. And I can tell you that every Arab country has brought it up in every single diplomatic meeting we've ever had. They believe that the fundamental problem was the Palestinian issues with Israel. It is literally the number one issue we've talked about. For Donald Trump to solve this issue is just enormous. I hope people understand what just happened today. I was gripped all day long. You don't have to speak Hebrew to understand the emotions of what was going on. Donald Trump is the only person in the world that could have done this, and he did this. This will solidify him in history as the greatest president of modern times. This is a moment that I hope everybody understands just didn't happen overnight. This is something that Donald Trump worked on in his first term. Jared Kushner, Steve Witkoff worked on this issue nonstop, the entire team, Marco Rubio. You just literally have Donald Trump's entire cabinet working nonstop together. And this is one of those things that credibility, Donald Trump's credibility, is key. You don't get wins like this unless you literally have the power to use it. And his power of persuasion is unlike anyone else. He is the greatest deal maker.
What's so wild is that he's been probably the best friend to Israel that Israel could have ever asked for. And then he still can have that credibility on the other side with these Arab nations. And then he can put it all together with the Abraham Accords. I mean, you'd think it would be one or the other. And for, I think, most people it would. To be able to play both sides, you know, so beautifully, it's just amazing.
Look, I've watched President Trump up close, and this is what he does. He's very transparent. He pushes everyone involved to be better, and he's trying to be friends with everybody. I think he said it best today when he said, you know, a lot of you in this room are my friends, and yet I'm pushing you to live in peace. And again, there's no one that could have done this. He's got such credibility, such power, such strength, and such grace to be able to do this.
It is impressive. Next step, equally as difficult, though. How do you, Rick, govern 2 million Palestinians who hate the Jews and also are going to live inside of the borders of Israel? How do you do that?
Well, look, Mahmoud Abbas, who's the leader of the Palestinians, was elected in 2005 to a 5-year term. We know that he has failed. His entire team has failed the Palestinian people. And so what you saw today from President Trump is bringing the entire region together. That is the key here. When you have a failed state, you absolutely have to have people around in the region come forward. And President Trump said it best. This is the wealthiest group of people we have in the world. More than 50% of the world's GDP was literally sitting together. And President Trump was saying, we are going to build Gaza. It's not even a rebuild. Remember, it is devastated, so you have to start over and build Gaza.
Presidential Envoy for Special Missions, Rick Grenell on Rob Schmitt Tonight. I'm going to wrap up today's podcast a little bit later with a segment from Rob Schmitt and comedian Joe Piscopo talking about Columbus Day yesterday. You don't want to miss that. But remember back in January, not that long ago, right? 9-10 months ago, beginning of the second Trump administration and the beginning of Rick Grenell's new job as presidential envoy. It was like a week or two into the job. He went to Venezuela and came back with 6 Americans that were being held hostage there. He doesn't get enough credit for that, I don't think. Everybody already forgot about it. As for Gaza, Israel, and the Palestinians, the real work begins now, right? According to the plan, multiple nations will rebuild Gaza and multiple military powers will help keep the peace for now. President Trump said Hamas was given approval to serve as a Palestinian police force for a period of time, but that Hamas ultimately cannot play a role in the future of Gaza. And we get more from Carl Higbie, who you may recall recently spent a week in Israel and Gaza.
But one of the things that I mentioned to Netanyahu while I was there was, why are you still supplying aid to these people?
You provide the utilities, the water and things. Wouldn't it be easy to cut it off and starve them out?
If we get the civilians out, you're right. And that's basically what our goal is, to get the civilians out of harm's way, as we've done up to now. But remember, there was another problem that we had. We had hostages.
Not anymore. Now that peace deal is in place, Israel's no longer required nor incentivized to provide utilities, water, power, internet, things like that, to Gaza. Cut it off. The entire point of this peace agreement is aimed towards the self-sustaining and self-governance of Gaza with international funding from Gulf states and Europe. And not us, not Israel. And there needs to be no mission creep on this whatsoever. Gaza will probably fail on its own, okay? They're going to have some sort of civil war there. They're already having it in the streets. Incompetence might be, whatever. Mark my words. I do not want to see America get sucked into nation building over there because it's just not going to work. We did this in Iraq, and trust me, it won't work there either. What Trump did is legitimately incredible, but this is a pretty extensive plan. Both sides have agreed to it. And I'm honestly not interested in renegotiating when Gaza realizes that they can't be a free state because they're incapable of self-sustaining.
All right, Navy SEAL and Middle East combat veteran Carl Higbie is the host of Frontline. That's at 6 o'clock Eastern. As I said yesterday, only time is going to tell if Israel and the Palestinians really want to find a way to coexist and live in peace. And Iran, oddly, nobody has said much about Iran, but will Iran try to rebuild Hamas? What role will they play, if any, Iran or Hamas? That will also have a lot to do with it. And how much will the U.S. do years from now when President Trump is no longer president, or even when President Trump is no longer with us? Meanwhile, the next thing on President Trump's agenda now is dealing with China. The stock markets are set to open significantly lower this morning because of news from China, which was the focus of this segment on yesterday's Chris Salcedo show.
Just been learned that China has taken an extraordinarily aggressive position on trade in sending an extremely hostile letter to the world, stating that they were going to, effective November 1st, 2025, impose large-scale export controls on virtually every product they make, and some not even made by them, end quote. The president has threatened China with a 100% tariff increase if they don't back off. The president called China's move, quote, unprecedented and a, quote, moral disgrace. Speaking of a disgrace, Joey Garrison of USA Today writing this unbelievable headline, quote, Trump announces additional 100% tariff on China imports, reigniting trade war with Beijing, end quote. So it wasn't the communists trying to bully the United States and other nations that reignited the trade war, but it was President Trump defending our nation that did it. President Trump is doing exactly what we hired him to do, put America first. And communist sympathizers in the America Last crowd are showing why our nation loses every single time they con their way into power. So there you have it, a snapshot on this Monday of where we are in America. Two visions, America first versus America last. As Americans start considering heading back to the polls in a little over a year, it's a good time to ask, whose side are you on?
Thank you, Christopher. Yes, when you go to the polls, ask yourself, who didn't vote for President Trump's no tax on tips and no tax on overtime? Who didn't vote for the Laken-Riley Act? Who disgustingly didn't stand for a little boy fighting brain cancer? Who stands for illegal immigrants? And so on. According to CNBC, Yahoo Finance, and others, the stock markets are sharply lower this morning because of China re-escalating trade tensions. Bitcoin is also lower, all the way back down to 111,000. You remember, it was just up to 124,000 last week. And as I speak, gold is up $2. Gold and silver are tangible, not just numbers on a screen, and unlike stocks or crypto, these are assets with thousands of years of trust and history behind them. If you're interested in buying gold or silver directly, or maybe want to learn about a gold IRA, check out Noble Gold Investments. They have a terrific U.S.-based team with clear upfront pricing, no funny business, no gimmicks, and most importantly, no pressure. They know the markets, the metals, and the strategies, and they explain them to you in a way that is easy to understand. I mentioned yesterday, I spoke with them myself. I also spoke with the CEO of the company. Either way, buying gold and silver direct or setting up a gold IRA, they make the process easy. And right now, they have a great limited-time offer for Newsmax Daily listeners and Newsmax viewers as well. Open a new qualified IRA or cash account with Noble Gold and get a free 10-ounce silver flag bar plus a silver American Eagle proof coin. Visit noblegoldinvestments.com/Newsmax. noblegoldinvestments.com/Newsmax. Again, a free 10-ounce silver flag bar plus a silver American Eagle proof coin plus no pressure 6-day-a-week customer service. That's right, even open on Saturday. noblegoldinvestments.com/Newsmax. So I said earlier I was going to play yesterday's Joe Piscopo segment for you, and as an Italian from New York especially, I love this, and you'll get a kick out of it too.
Columbus Day. We're back. Columbus Day, we're back, Italians. We love the Italians.
There you go. Comedian Joe Piscopo is an Italian man, if you couldn't tell by his suit.
Good to see you,
sir.
Go ahead. Great to see you, man.
What are your thoughts? I mean, we go through this every year, and it's always annoying every year. And then they canceled the parade this year here in New York. Right?
Unbelievable. We own it, though. This is the Italians' time, and we own it. And it's about time. You know, I've been doing the parade for almost 21 years, about 21 years, you know. Yeah. And I have to tell you, if I may, about that hit with the president, because I invited him on my show in April, and he came on the show, and he said, and I just happened to ask, because it was a moment, and I was asked by the Italians in Washington to invite the president to the 50th anniversary of the National Italian American Foundation. So that's the question that came out first, Rob, to the president. I've known him 100 years, but still, it's with respect. He's the president. Hey, President Trump, you know you're invited to the NIAF. It was like a geeky thing that came out. And he goes, you know, Joe, the Italians, I love the Italians. We love the Italians. He goes, we got to have Columbus Day. Rob, that's April. The man doesn't forget. And I have to tell you, on behalf of the Italian-American community, how much we appreciate President Trump stepping up in a big way and signing that proclamation. It was huge. It was huge.
You know, you hear these people. It's funny to me because there's so much hypocrisy in what they say. They're all open border maniacs. And at the same breath, they talk about how this is stolen land. If there's no borders... What the hell was stolen? You know, it's like there's two sides of the same thing here. They make no sense.
Like they say, Columbus is the only immigrant that they don't like. You know?
Exactly.
But I came up with Rob. It's good to see you. We got a mutual friend. I told you before we went on the air, and he loves you. I had a full day. It's Columbus Day. A full day. I've been up since 4 in the morning, radio, television, everything. What do they put me up against? The best looking guy in television, Rob Schmitt. I look like a Mama Luke over here, for crying out loud. Look at you.
Get out of here.
Look at you.
Well,
here we go. I'm holding up all right now.
No, it looks great. Your suit game is far superior to mine. I will give you that right now. There's no question there. I want to play one for you from because Kamala Harris is trying to make a little bit of a comeback here.
Oh, boy.
We're very lucky she's not the president now. She's going to try it again, though, we think. Take a listen to this from 2021.
Okay.
It is an honor, of course, to be with you this week as we celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day. Those explorers ushered in a wave of devastation for tribal nations, perpetrating violence, stealing land, and spreading disease. We must not shy away from this shameful past.
Judging people 500-600 years ago based on today's virtues and our tastes, right? This is what they do best.
Columbus discovered America. This was one of the boldest moves that Christopher Columbus did, because it's the current day equivalent, as they say, to landing on the moon. This was a brave man and a great man. And if you study, like one of my kids said, you know, they're kind of saying bad things about Columbus. I said, that's old news. We're Italians. We're proud to be Italians. And if you study it, you could see that Columbus wasn't the guy. He adopted one of the tribes. He adopted the tribes. He kept the tribes from killing each other. There was cannibalism, and Columbus stopped it. They ship them out. Somebody else comes in. Columbus gets the blame. The history is wrong. But I have to tell you, and thank you for allowing me to pontificate just a little bit, because it's about my mother, who I lost a couple of years ago. He rest her soul. My dad, who I lost longer than that, man. And I'm telling you what, it's about our grandparents. They come from Italy. They come here. They learn the language. They learn the laws. They wanted to be one thing. Rob, they wanted to be American. And that's what today was about. So listen, they canceled the parade. You know, was that political, not political? But I'm telling you, we were at the Columbus Citizens Foundation. All all day, and we're telling everybody how great the Italians are. I had 4 hours on the radio this morning to do it, and then I jumped on ABC 7 to shout out to ABC for covering it. And then this weekend with Maria Bartiromo, we're doing a whole big thing with the National Italian American Foundation.
It's a big week.
It's our responsibility to respect what our parents and grandparents did.
Bingo. Respect and honor what your parents or your grandparents did to get here and what they did to contribute to making America great. The only thing my great-grandfather did to help make America great was bring pizza to America in 1905. Lombardi's, Little Italy, New York. That's a whole nother story. Christopher Columbus is the only immigrant Democrats don't like. That's what he said. That was funny and true. Oh, but then there's Elon Musk, right? They don't like him either. Elon and SpaceX said last night's test flight of the Starship rocket from Texas was a complete success. The massive rocket went to the edge of space and deployed some fake satellites. Then as it came down into the Indian Ocean, it exploded. That was all part of the plan. After several failed attempts, which you probably remember, this is the second straight successful flight. The goal is for the Starship to carry astronauts to the moon and then eventually to Mars. So President Trump is meeting with the president of Argentina today, Javier Milei, at the White House. And then late this afternoon, he will participate in the Medal of Freedom ceremony for the late Charlie Kirk. We will have it all for you on Newsmax, N2, and updates on Newsmax.com as well. Don't forget, the news starts each and every morning at 6 Eastern. Wake Up America Early Edition with Alex Kramer, followed by Wake Up America, National Report, Newsline at noon, American Agenda, Greta Van Susteren now at 4, The Chris Salcedo Show, Carl Higbie, Rob Schmitt Tonight, Finnerty, and much, much more. I'm Tony Marino. Enjoy the rest of your day. Eat dessert. You have an excuse. And keep on fighting the good fight.
News breaks every minute, every day. You need the app, the Newsmax app. Find it free on your smartphone store. Then watch us anytime, anywhere.
Information. Truth. Is freedom. Is Newsmax. It's real news for real people.